The spiritual world is not an abstraction.
Paiva Netto.
Article.
When I talk about extraphysical life, I am referring to the life that continues after the phenomenon called death. The spiritual world, I like to reiterate, is not something abstract, indefinite. It does exist and is filled with spiritual energy and work. We cannot see it yet due to frequency, an obstacle to be unveiled by scientific activity and overcome through the evolution of our physical senses, which will open up to new heavens and new worlds. Jesus, the ecumenical Christ, the divine statesman, said,
"My Father is always at his work to this very day, and I too am working. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Believe in God, believe also in me. My Father's house has many rooms. If that were not so, would I have told you that I am going to prepare a place for you? And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am." The Gospel according to John, chapter 5, verse 17, and chapter 14, verses 1 to 3.
The active existence and working action of the spiritual world on the material world through the guardian angels, for example, is clearly established in the words of the divine pedagogue. Therefore, we must all be aware of such exchange and be able to deal with this still invisible reality.
Rui Barbosa,
1849–1923, the remarkable Brazilian jurist, journalist, writer, ambassador, diplomat, also called as Eagle of the Hague, parliamentarian, finance minister, and statesman, understood this sublime purpose.
Death does not extinguish, it transforms. It does not annihilate, it renews. It does not separate, it brings together.
Prophet Muhammad, 560–632.
May the peace and blessings of God be upon him.
Registers in the Holy Quran.
Each one has protectors. They escort him in successive shifts, on God's orders.
This reminds me of the pronouncement by Pope John Paul II, 1920–2005, on November 2, 1983, when he addressed his congregation gathered at the Vatican. His Holiness emphasized that the dialogue with the dead must not be interrupted.
We are invited to resume our dialogue with the dead in the depths of our hearts, a dialogue that should not be interrupted by death. Based on the revealing words of Christ the Redeemer, we are certain of the immortality of the soul. In fact, life does not end on the horizon of this world.
This is why it is imperative to meditate on this subject. It is understandable that we miss those who have gone. However, we should not cry excessively, because our acceptable pain can disturb, in the spiritual world, their adaptation to the new situation. Ph.D. in Hebrew, Jewish Literature and Culture from the University of
São Paulo, USP,
Brazil, Professor Jane Bishmacher de Glassman explains that
in Judaism, life and death form a whole, being different aspects of the same reality and complementary to each other.
We see, therefore, that without the spiritual world the human journey would have no meaning.
José de Paiva Netto
is a writer, journalist, radio broadcaster, composer, and poet. He is the president of the Legion of Goodwill, LGW.